All right, everybody, we're going to talk about how to improve in Final Fantasy XIV. We're going to be talking about a lot of things here. But I'm not saying this is like the one way that everyone should improve in FF14. This is just my way. And if you want to follow it, you can. But this is what I personally do. I actually use multiple resources. I use multiple websites, such as FF Logs and XIV Analysis. Now, those two are very good websites, but sometimes what people don't look at the most, by the way, and this is actually really important, I'll kind of pull this up here. The most thing that I like to do is, for ninjas specifically, let's say I want to improve at a certain fight, right? I always click on Savage, and then I look at rankings, let's say for Brute Abominator, right? We'll look at Brute Abominator, and then I'll go to Damage, Character, and then I will select Ninja, right? Because I'm trying to see what other ninjas are doing. So you can see here, okay, awesome. There's multiple ninjas here. And I always look at how many casts they do for specific abilities like Rayton, Hyoshos. How many Hyoshos can they fit in? I think what people need to look at the most, by the way, is the number of casts. I don't look at the parse as like, oh, I got a 99, I'm so good at Pog. I actually look at the casts because I think about the factors that I can control. You cannot control how much damage you do. You can control how many casts you do. So I think about how many casts I can do. So let's pick someone here, for example. Let's go with the number 1, Crown Sand. Number 1, right? Number 1, and we look at the cast. We look at the variables that we can control. Okay, this group is cracked, by the way. We look at the variables that we can control. Cast. You look at this, right? Crit percentage, direct hit percentage. These are things I cannot control, right? If I hit a big hit, right? It's not like, oh yeah, I did that shit. It can happen. It can also happen with our DPS, like, oh, is the raid buff misaligned a little bit? Was the raid buff even on? There's so many factors, right? So I always think about casts, right? And you can see in Crown Sand's example, okay? 19 Raytons, could be because of kill time. They killed faster. I got 21 Raytons, he got 19 Raytons. So again, this could potentially just mean like 2 Raytons were missed at some point. There also could be a Rayton that is missed, and some people maybe don't do this, but there's a Rayton you can miss in Brute Abominator when he smashes the floor. When you smashes the floor and enters the 3rd arena, you can actually land a Rayton right there, and you would still have the 2 double Raytons for the burst window. Some people, maybe they don't do this, but it's something I always do because I don't want to Mudra cap. But yeah, there's like small things like that. 10 Hyoshos, I also have 10 Hyoshos. So always look at casts. Always, always, always. Like 11 Trick Attack. I also have probably 11 Trick Attack. Yes, I don't miss my tricks, baby. So 11 tricks. So that's the first step that I look at, right? Is number of casts. This is how I use FF Logs. This is how I use it. I don't look at the number all the time, although the number is nice. It does give you a reference. But yeah, casts are good. But yeah, our DPS, remember, is a big portion of obviously your overall damage, right? It's very important. Just keep in mind that it can be group dependent also. So think about casts. Variables we can control. Don't think about what other people, whatever. Think about what you can do yourself. So yeah, that's the main thing. I'm recording this after my stream, and I just want to mention real quick that I'm not saying that FF Logs is going to solve all your problems, and seeing the number of casts is going to solve the issues. Like, all of this comes with practice. Lots of time playing a certain job, getting an understanding of like the momentum, the speed of the job. Like for Ninja, it's a very fast-paced job with Shikuchis and really fast burst. All this is going to come with experience. So, and also, when you're progging fights, you're going to figure out ways yourself because you have so much experience with the job and knowledge about certain things. Like, you would know the disengage priority. You would know your range tools. You would know which range tools in order you should use. Like with Ninja, Suton, Phantom Kamaitachi, Raytons. There's an order to priority of disengage usage. And that's something you can implement into your gameplay, right? It's something you can implement based off the flow of a fight. So I'm not saying only use FF Logs to figure everything out. you have to figure out stuff yourself sometimes, especially during prog. And then once you get done with prog, you can even see how other people do it. This is personally what I do, is I just prog myself, figure out ways myself how to do things a certain way, because I've been playing Ninja since I started playing Final Fantasy XIV. Like, I kind of know how the flow of a fight would be after playing it for so long, and I know what abilities are best to use in those certain situations and getting that uptime. But you should see, maybe you can learn from others too. We all learn from each other, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. The next thing I want to talk about is looking at the VOD and looking at XIV analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say I'm going to take Crowd Sands, right? I'm going to take his log for his kill, and I'm going to copy paste this and post it in XIV analysis. And then I look at this is what I actually do. So by the way, the notes, sometimes they can be wrong, because the notes that are mentioned here is like, some of it might be like based off the fight. It can depend. So this is not always like something that's like, you know, like for example, in top, there's specific things you do that are like considered not standard. So the notes, yeah, they give you like a good guidance, but they're not always correct, because it can depend based on the fight, how you play around stuff. But yeah, it's just something to keep in mind here if you're trying to play like standard, like on a dummy or something. But yeah, I look at the timeline, I look at the fight, and here's what I do. I pull up my own VOD and I follow the XIV analysis timeline. So I'm like, okay, here's how he's using the burst in the opener, and then later, let's just skip over like, oh, 2 minutes. Here's how he does the 2 minutes, and then I go 2 minutes in my actual POV, and I see, okay, how did he do it in the 2 minutes, and I get a feel of the idea, like, okay, here's how he's moving. That's probably how he's landing that Phantom Kamaitachi. Oh, he's probably disengaging there. That's why he Phantom Kamaitachi'd. So I'll kind of show an example from my POV here that I did myself. Basically through here, like this is when I look at my POV and kind of just see like through the fight, right? So here's what I do. For example, here I test myself on how I can use disengage tools, right? How I disengage and try to stay as close to melee range as possible while landing the most amount of GCDs. So I'll just show an example here for M8S, right? And I'll kind of show you in the opener how I do something here, right? So what I do is I actually save Phantom Kamaitachi here for this specific part of the fight, because in the beginning he could cast Stone or Wind, right? If it's Stone, I can disengage with PK. I noticed that normally GCDing here doesn't actually work, because my GCD is still like, as I'm going out, it comes up, so I cannot greed another GCD. That's where Phantom Kamaitachi comes in. And I will show you another example where I actually do this in M7S, okay? But this is an example here for M8, right? In this example, I get Stone, right? So I'm like, Rayton, right? Okay, it's Stone time. I GCD at the last possible second. I walk out, Phantom Kamaitachi right here, and then go back to the boss and keep GCDing. The next thing is, it's gonna choose Revolutionary or the other one, right? In this example, we got Revolutionary. So this right here with Revolutionary, I see where he goes, right? Okay, he goes here. I GCD, I keep walking. Look at my GCD right now. Look. When he dashes, I'm literally mashing my third GCD combo. I get the Aeon, and now it's Revolutionary. So I'm gonna Shikuchi to my group. My GCD is still rolling. I get a Rayton, and then Raiju back to the boss. Full uptime. And I try my best here to not land a single throwing dagger. See, if I didn't save the PK, things would turn out differently there, and I would potentially have to use a throwing dagger in the beginning. But I saved PK. PK helps me with the disengage. If it was wind in the beginning, right? If we got wind here, I would save the PK for Revolutionary. So this is what I do. Yes, you can also Rayton, exactly. If you don't use PK, you have the Rayton, exactly. Like, you have those two disengage tools, right? So for me here, I always have a PK here ready if it's Stone or Wind, and from there I play around what the mechanic gives me. Okay.
Such speed, it's as if there's a pack of him.
But
speed, it's as if there's a pack of him.
That feels good. So this is generally how I look at improving in this game. I always record my footage. I look back and I see, okay, what could I have done differently? How do I get full uptime? And I always try to use references from timelines and XIV analysis and checking FF logs and seeing like basically, you know, like how they do things. I like figuring out, I like seeing what other ninjas do, you know? Because it gives me an idea like, okay, how does he do this thing? And it's cool to see what others think, you know? Or how they go about a certain way. But this is generally the way I go about it. I will show you an example in M7S. In this example, right? So in this example, I don't save PK, unlike in M8S. And you might be asking, why is that? Because my GCD in this fight rolls in such a way that I can use my regular combo GCDs and get back to the boss. So look at here. The moment I use my third GCD combo, right? I walk out and I'm back in and I continue combo GCDing. I didn't have to save PK. I didn't have to use Rayton because it lined up that way. You see what I'm saying? So these are things you want to keep in mind of. From fight to fight, your GCD is going to roll differently and you have to play around that. This is why I like to look at how other ninjas play or just figure out stuff my way as I prog. I think progging is like the big part of figuring this stuff out. I literally here, I didn't even look at FF logs or XIV analysis or anything like that. I just did what felt right and natural to me. But if there's something I struggle with or not sure about, I always open up FF logs and try to compare like things differently and use XIV analysis timeline to kind of accurately tell during a certain part of the fight, 3 minutes 40, let's say in this example, 3 minutes 40, I would like go in the VOD and I go 3 minutes 40 in the actual fight and I see like, okay, and I literally follow it as I'm watching the video of me doing it. So it kind of gives you that idea. Now, that's the idea. This is how I improve in Final Fantasy XIV, and I'm not saying that this is what you guys should follow, but this is how I do it. This is my way of improving. So to summarize, I look at number of casts. I don't look at how much percentage crit, how much direct hit. These are variables we cannot control. We focus on number of casts. Hyoshos, Raytons, Raijus, getting as many casts as possible. In top, you can miss a Hyosho in Sigma. Remember, you can actually send a Hyosho there. You'd get 2 Hyoshos instead of 1 in Sigma. So, something to keep in mind. It's actually better to get more casts. So, always looking at casts and comparing my casts with other ninjas' casts and just comparing and seeing. So that's 1. 2, I look at XIV analysis and follow the timeline and then use my own video footage to kind of follow along and see how these things are done. But yeah, that's about it, really. This is how I improve with Ninja as a whole. And if you guys want to follow this, it's up to you. I'm not saying this is the one way, but it is my way. I've been playing like this for years. I think FF Logs is such a good tool to find these things and improve as a player. I think FF Logs is really good for that. But I feel like some people use FF Logs incorrectly sometimes. They don't look at the most important part, which is cast. Look, oh, parse. Ooh, I got 99. I got 98. Ooh, I probably should just done more damage. You could do more damage, but remember casts, auto attacks. Are you staying in melee range often? Are you hitting? Are you staying in melee range to actually keep auto attacking? Are you getting back to the boss quick enough? These are things you need to think about. This is what will make you a better player. And remember, it's not about how good you are. It's about how good you want to be. Because if you focus on how good you want to be, you will naturally improve, and you won't even realize it sometimes. You will naturally improve at the game. And that's what you want to focus on. That's right. Yeah, are you critting your Hyosho? Did you crit it? Did you not? Well, skill issue. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how I go about it. This is my way. So, yeah. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Hopefully, maybe this helped somebody out. But yeah, take care, YouTube. And I'll catch you in the next video.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Okay, dude, good one.